Doing cervical spine, the joint type is gliding and the plane is sagittal. We're going to do flexion and extension. Flexion, extension, flexion, extension. All right, we're doing cervical spine. The joint type is gliding, the plane is frontal. And for movements, we're going to do left lateral flexion and right lateral flexion. So left lateral flexion, right lateral flexion, left lateral flexion, right lateral flexion. I'm doing cervical spine. Joint type is gliding and plantar. Plane is transverse, and we're going to do left rotation and right rotation. Left rotation, right rotation, left rotation, right rotation. The region is lumbar. The joint type is gliding, plane sagittal, and for movement we're going to do flexion and extension. So flexion, extension, flexion, extension. In lumbar, joint type is gliding, plane is going to be frontal, and for movement, we're going to do left lateral flexion and right lateral flexion. So left lateral flexion, right lateral flexion, left lateral flexion, right lateral flexion. The region is lumbar, joint is gliding. We're going to be working in the transverse plane, and for movement, we're going to do left rotation and right rotation. Left rotation, right rotation, left rotation, right rotation. We're in the shoulder region now. Joint type is ball and socket. We're going to be working in the sagittal plane, and we're going to do flexion and extension. Arm is flexing, arm is flexing, arm is flexing, arm is in flexion, arm is extending, arm is extending, arm is extending, arm is in neutral. Okay, arm is extending, arm is extending, arm is extending, arm is now in extension, arm is flexing, arm is flexing, arm is flexing, arm is now neutral. All right, the region is still the shoulder. Joint type is ball and socket. We're now in the frontal plane. We're going to be doing abduction and adduction. Arm is abducting, arm is abducting, arm is abducting, arm is now in abduction, arm is adducting, arm is adducting, arm is adducting, arm is in adduction. The region is shoulder, still a ball and socket, joint, and now we're in the transverse plane. Movement is going to be medial rotation and lateral rotation. So medial, lateral, medial, lateral. It's also internal rotation, external rotation, internal rotation, external rotation. The region is the shoulder, ball and socket is the joint. We're in the transverse plane still. We're going to be doing horizontal abduction and horizontal add with an ADD duction. So this is abduction and horizontal adduction. Horizontal abduction, horizontal adduction. Region is shoulder, joint is ball and socket, plane is multiplanar, movement is circumduction. Region is elbow, joint is hinge, plane is sagittal. We're going to be doing flexion and extension. Flexion, extension, flexion, extension, flexion, extension. All right, the region is going to be the forearm, which is a pivot joint. This is going to be transverse plane, and the movement is going to be pronation and supination. Pronation, supination. Pronation, supination. Region is wrist, which is a condyloid joint. Plane is going to be sagittal, and we're going to be doing flexion and extension. Flexion, extension. Flexion, extension. All right, we're still in the wrist, which is a condyloid joint. The plane is now frontal, and for movement, we're going to be doing radial deviation and ulnar deviation. Radial deviation, ulnar deviation. Radial deviation, ulnar deviation. Moving on to the fingers, the joint is condyloid and hinge. The plane is going to be in sagittal, and for movement, we're going to be doing flexion and extension. So, flexion, extension, flexion, extension. Working in the fingers, joint still the condyloid and hinge. We're now in the frontal plane, and we're going to be doing adduction and abduction. So, adduction, abduction, adduction, abduction. Right. Region's the thumb. Joint is going to be saddle. It's going to be multiplanar, and we're going to do opposition and reposition. Opposition, reposition. Opposition, reposition. We're moving on to the hip. It's a ball and socket joint, and we're in sagittal plane. For movement, we're going to be doing flexion and extension. Let me back up some more. So we have flexion, extension, flexion, extension. So in the hip, ball and socket joint, we're now in the frontal plane, and we're going to be doing abduction and adduction. So, adduction, adduction, abduction, adduction, abduction, adduction. We're still in the hip region, which is a ball and socket joint. We're now in the transverse plane. We're going to be doing internal rotation and external rotation. So, internal rotation, external rotation. Internal rotation, external rotation. Internal, foot goes out, or heel goes out. External, heel goes in. Hip region, still a ball and socket joint, and this is multiplanar. The movement's going to be circumduction. All right, we're going to be working with the knee region. It's going to be a hinge joint, and we're going to be working in the sagittal plane with flexion and extension. Let's set y'all down. All right. This is knee flexion. Let me not fall over. Knee extension. Knee flexion. Knee extension. All right, we're moving on to the ankle region, which is going to be hinge and gliding, and we're going to be working in the sagittal plane. I am going to set y'all down again. All right, we're going to be doing dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. Dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. Dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. All right, we're still in the ankle region, which is a hinge and gliding joint. We're going to be in the frontal plane, and we're going to be doing inversion and exversion. All right, let's see. Inversion, exversion. Inversion, exversion. All right, we're still in the ankle region, which is a hinge and gliding. joint. This is going to be multiplanar, and we're going to do pronation, which is up and out, and supination, which is down and in. I set y'all down a few more times. All right. So pronation, up and out. Supination is down and in. Pronation, up and out. Supination, down and in. All right, so region we're moving to is the toes, which is going to be condyloid and hinge. We're in the sagittal plane, and we're going to be doing flexion and extension. All right, we have flexion, extension, flexion, extension. All right, we're still in the toes, which are going to be condyloid and hinge joints. Plane is now going to be frontal, and we're going to be doing abduction and adduction. All right, I promise when I do abduction, my toes are out, okay? They don't move that far. Okay. Abduction, adduction, abduction, adduction, abduction, adduction. All right, we're moving on to the scapular region. The joint type is going to be scapulothoracic, and we're going to be doing elevation and depression. All right, we're still in the scapula. Joint type is going to be scapulothoracic. We're now going to move on to protraction and retraction, or as some people may know it by, adduction and abduction. Let me stand up. We got All right, we're now going to be in the mandibular region, which is a synovial joint. The movement is going to be elevation and depression. Last but not least, we're still in the mandibular region. Joint type is still synovial, and we're going to be doing protraction and retraction.